There was a time in my life when I felt trapped, not by my circumstances, but by the limits I had placed on myself. The weakness I'm talking about isn't physical, it's mental. It's the part of us that makes excuses, delays action, and chooses comfort over growth. This weakness keeps us small, afraid of failure, and avoiding challenges. But here's the truth. Inside each of us is a stronger, wiser, and more capable version waiting to emerge. A version that embraces discomfort, takes ownership, and refuses to settle for less than what we're truly capable of achieving. To awaken that version, we must first confront and let go of the weak one, the one that clings to mediocrity and fears change. The Stoics taught us that true power lies in mastering our minds, controlling our emotions, and aligning our actions with our higher purpose. These timeless lessons have never been more relevant. In this video, we'll explore how you can apply Stoic principles to overcome doubt, make stronger choices, and find the inner peace you've been searching for. Stay with me as I share the most practical and formative Stoic exercises to kill that weak version of yourself and unlock the strength within. If this resonates with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it. And I'd love to hear your story. Drop a comment and let's grow together. The strongest version of you is waiting. Let's begin. 3 steps to transform yourself. Change begins within. It starts with a moment of clarity, a realization that you're not living up to the person you could become. This process unfolds in 3 essential steps: awareness, decision, and action. Each step is a foundation, building upon the last to awaken the strongest version of yourself. Awareness is the cornerstone of transformation. You must first understand where you are and identify the habits or mindsets holding you back. Without awareness, progress is impossible. When I was trapped in a job I hated, I couldn't pinpoint the problem. I was frustrated but unaware of what was truly wrong. One evening, after another grueling day, it struck me. I was making excuses instead of exploring opportunities. That moment of awareness was liberating. I saw clearly how I was feeding my weak version by staying stagnant, fearing change, and clinging to comfort. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the essence of awareness. It's not about blaming external circumstances. It's about taking responsibility for how you respond to them. Awareness alone isn't enough. It must lead to a decision, a firm, unwavering commitment to move forward. When you decide, you take ownership of your future, rejecting mediocrity and embracing growth. After recognizing my excuses, I made a decision. I would no longer settle for less. That decision wasn't easy. Doubts crept in, whispering, "What if you fail? What if you're not good enough?" But deep down, I knew staying where I was would mean betraying my potential. Epictetus reminds us, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Your decision is a declaration of who you aim to become. It's the turning point where you shift from thinking about change to committing to it. Finally, transformation requires action. This is where most people falter, paralyzed by fear or overwhelmed by the road ahead. But action doesn't demand perfection. It demands consistency. Small, deliberate steps create momentum. For me, action started with learning. I spent evenings reading books on new skills, listening to podcasts on personal growth, and taking courses to expand my knowledge. Each small choice, opting for growth over comfort, fed the stronger version of myself. Seneca said it best, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." Action is preparation. It's about showing up daily, even when the results aren't immediate. Together, awareness, decision, and action form the triad of personal growth. They empower you to break free from excuses, overcome fear, and claim the life you deserve. The path isn't easy, but as the Stoics teach, growth lies in the challenge. So pause for a moment. Reflect on your current choices. Are they feeding the weak version or the strong one? Awareness will guide you. The decision will strengthen you, and action will transform you. One step at a time, you can rewrite your story. 2. Overcome all doubts and excuses. My uncle had always dreamed of starting his own business. He was in his 50s when that dream resurfaced, but self-doubt held him back. He thought, "I'm too old to manage this. What if I fail? What will people say?" For years, he let those excuses keep him from taking action. But one day, with encouragement from our family, he decided to start small. With just one client, he began to work. Slowly but surely, his efforts grew into something remarkable. That initial doubt, the fear of failure, and all the reasons he thought he couldn't do it, they faded as his confidence and determination took over. Doubt and excuses often arise from fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, or fear of the unknown. But fear is a poor guide. As Seneca said, he who is brave is free. The freedom to pursue your dreams lies in overcoming the mental chains of self-doubt. Excuses might seem valid in the moment, but they are only barriers to progress. Every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," or "It's too late for me," you're feeding the weaker version of yourself. To overcome these doubts, you must first recognize them for what they are. Unhelpful stories your mind tells you to stay in your comfort zone. Once you've identified them, the next step is to reframe them. Instead of thinking, "I'm not ready," tell yourself, "I'm learning and growing every day." Instead of, "I can't do this," remind yourself, "I haven't mastered it yet." Language shapes our reality, and reframing your inner dialogue is a powerful way to dismantle excuses. Accountability is another essential tool. Share your goals with someone who can support and challenge you. My uncle succeeded because he let us in on his dream. We became his cheerleaders, reminding him of his strengths when doubts arose. Sometimes, the simple act of speaking your goals aloud can turn abstract ideas into commitments. Another critical aspect is breaking down the overwhelming into the achievable. If your dream feels too big or impossible, start small. Focus on one action you can take today. Just as my uncle started with one client, you can take one step toward your goal. The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control. You cannot control every outcome, but you can control the actions you take right now. When you begin to act, you'll notice something extraordinary. With every step forward, doubts lose their power. Progress, no matter how small, builds confidence. Each completed task silences excuses and strengthens your belief in what's possible. Excuses are persuasive and doubts are persistent, but neither defines you unless you let them. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. React by choosing to move forward despite fear. React by trusting your potential over your doubts. The strongest version of you is waiting on the other side of that hesitation. Start now, not tomorrow. Begin small and let progress pave the way to transformation. 3. Change starts with the smallest choices. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. The greatest life changes often start with the smallest, seemingly insignificant choices. These choices, repeated consistently, have the power to reshape your habits, your mindset, and ultimately, your future. In the words of Epictetus, no great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Progress requires patience, but more importantly, it requires starting somewhere, even if it feels small. There was a time when I felt stuck in a cycle of unhealthy habits. My days were spent in frustration, and my nights were filled with mindless distractions. I didn't know where to begin, so I started with one small change: replacing late-night TV with a 10-minute walk. That simple decision had a ripple effect. Walking at night helped me sleep better, which led to healthier eating, more exercise, and eventually feeling energized and focused in every area of my life. This principle applies universally. If you find yourself admiring the lives of others and feeling dissatisfied with your own, ask yourself, what is one small action you can take today to create a positive shift? Instead of envying someone else's success, start building your own by making a choice, no matter how minor it may seem. The Stoics remind us that we have control over our actions, not the outcomes. Seneca wrote, "Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life." Each day offers an opportunity to make choices that align with the life you want to create. Whether it's waking up 15 minutes earlier, reading a single page of a book, or drinking a glass of water instead of soda, these choices matter. They set the foundation for transformation. It's easy to dismiss small actions because they don't deliver immediate results. But change isn't about instant gratification. It's about momentum. Every small decision you make in favor of growth is like planting a seed. With time and care, those seeds grow into habits, and habits shape your destiny. Think about this. What small choice can you make today that your future self will thank you for? Is it taking a 5-minute walk, starting a journal, or simply pausing to reflect before reacting to a challenge. These actions might feel trivial, but they are powerful steps in the right direction. Small choices also serve as proof to yourself that you can change. Each time you make a better decision, no matter how small, you build trust in your ability to create the life you envision. And with that trust comes confidence, a confidence that transforms your doubts into belief. The path to a better life doesn't require perfection or grand gestures. It begins with the smallest steps, taken consistently. So start now. Take one small action, then take another. Over time, those choices will lead you toward the stronger, more capable version of yourself that has been waiting all along. 4. Adjust your environment and connect with the right people. Your environment shapes you in ways you may not even realize. The people you surround yourself with, the spaces you inhabit, and the influences you allow into your life all play a profound role in determining who you become. If you want to feed the strongest version of yourself, you must create an environment that supports your growth and aligns with your goals. The Stoics understood the power of external influences. Epictetus taught, the key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Surrounding yourself with the right individuals can ignite your potential in ways you cannot achieve alone. Think about the people you interact with most. Are they lifting you up or holding you back? Are they inspiring you to set higher goals, or are they enabling you to remain comfortable and stagnant? The energy of those around you can either propel you forward or weigh you down. By choosing to spend time with people who challenge and inspire you, you begin to absorb their habits, mindsets, and drive. Adjusting your physical environment is equally important. The spaces where you work, rest, and spend your time should reflect the person you aspire to be. A cluttered or uninspiring space creates mental noise, while an organized and intentional environment fosters clarity and focus. Seneca wrote, "Everywhere means nowhere." When a person spends all his time in foreign travel, he ends up having many acquaintances, but no friends. This insight reminds us to focus on building quality and intentional surroundings instead of scattering our energy aimlessly. Beyond physical surroundings, the information you consume shapes your mental environment. Books, podcasts, and even social media should align with your values and goals. Choose content that feeds your mind with inspiration, knowledge, and positivity. If you immerse yourself in ideas that challenge your thinking and expand your understanding, you equip yourself to grow in ways you never thought possible. Creating a supportive environment isn't just about adding the right elements, it's also about removing the negative ones. Toxic relationships, unproductive habits, and distractions all need to be addressed. This isn't always easy. It requires honesty and courage to let go of influences that no longer serve you. But by doing so, you create space for growth and opportunity. Building connections with the right people requires intention. Seek out individuals who share your values and aspirations. Attend events, join groups, and engage in conversations that align with your goals. When you surround yourself with ambitious, purpose-driven people, their energy becomes contagious. You'll find yourself naturally striving for greater things simply by being in their presence. Your environment is the foundation upon which your growth is built. As Marcus Aurelius advised, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. By curating your surroundings and relationships, you align yourself with the path of progress and purpose. Take time to reflect on the people and spaces in your life. Make the adjustments necessary to nurture the strongest version of yourself. When your environment supports your aspirations, transformation becomes inevitable. 5. Use fear and failure as tools. Fear and failure often feel like barriers, but in truth, they are tools, powerful ones. When approached with the right mindset, they become opportunities for growth and resilience. The Stoics taught us that our perception of events, not the events themselves, determines their impact. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. A close friend of mine once poured his heart into a major project, only to see it fail spectacularly. He was devastated. For a while, doubt and regret consumed him. If I had been in his position, I might have given up altogether. But he didn't. Instead, he analyzed what went wrong, adjusted his approach, and tried again. That second attempt led to success, not because it was easy, but because he chose to treat failure as a lesson rather than a defeat. Fear often serves as a warning, but it's also an indicator of where growth lies. If something scares you, it's likely because it pushes you out of your comfort zone. The Stoic philosopher Seneca reminds us, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Most fears exist not because of the event itself, but because of how we anticipate it. When you confront fear head-on, it loses its power and becomes a stepping stone rather than a roadblock. Failure, too, is misunderstood. Society often teaches us to avoid it at all costs, but failure is one of life's greatest teachers. Each setback provides valuable insights about what works, what doesn't, and what you're capable of enduring. The Stoics viewed failure as a natural part of progress, a necessary trial on the path to mastery. To use fear and failure as tools, start by changing how you view them. Instead of seeing fear as a reason to stop, see it as a guide pointing toward what matters most. When you feel fear about pursuing a goal, ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? Often, the answer is far less catastrophic than your imagination suggests. For failure, embrace it as part of the process. Reflect on what went wrong, but don't dwell on it. Take what you've learned and apply it to your next attempt. The Stoic principle of amor fati, loving your fate, encourages us to accept everything that happens as necessary and beneficial. Each failure brings you closer to success if you're willing to learn from it. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear. It's acting in spite of it. Resilience is not avoiding failure. It's rising each time you fall. These qualities are what build the strongest version of yourself. As Epictetus advised, difficulties are things that show a person what they are. So, when fear whispers that you can't, prove it wrong by trying. When failure tells you to stop, answer it by pressing forward. Fear and failure are not your enemies, they are your allies, shaping you into the capable and extraordinary person you're meant to become. 6. Consistency is key, not perfection. True transformation is not a result of sudden bursts of effort or aiming for perfection. It's achieved through steady, consistent actions, repeated over time. The Stoics remind us that excellence is not an act but a habit, cultivated through persistence and discipline. Seneca once said, well-being is attained by little, and nevertheless is no little thing itself. Consistency is the quiet force behind lasting change. It doesn't demand grand gestures or flawless execution. Instead, it asks you to show up every day, even when it feels difficult, inconvenient, or unproductive. Progress is built on these small, regular efforts. It's not about being perfect, it's about being present and committed. Many people hesitate to start because they fear they won't do it perfectly. They wait for the right time, the ideal circumstances, or the perfect plan. But perfection is an illusion. What truly matters is beginning and maintaining the effort, no matter how imperfect it may seem. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have to assemble your life yourself, action by action. Each small step, no matter how minor, moves you closer to your goals. When you embrace consistency, you allow the power of compounding to work in your favor. A single day of effort might not seem significant, but repeated over weeks, months, and years, it builds momentum. These incremental gains lead to exponential results, transforming your habits, mindset, and outcomes. The key is to focus on the process rather than the results. Trust in the value of the work itself, knowing that every action you take strengthens the foundation of your success. The Stoics believed in aligning actions with values, regardless of external outcomes. By staying consistent with your efforts, you honor your commitment to becoming the best version of yourself. Resilience is another essential aspect of consistency. There will be days when you falter, moments when motivation wanes, or setbacks that test your resolve. These moments are not failures. They are opportunities to strengthen your discipline. Consistency isn't about never falling, it's about always rising again. Epictetus advised, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This mindset shifts your focus from the unattainable ideal of perfection to the attainable practice of persistence. It frees you from the paralysis of fear and self-doubt, allowing you to act boldly and with purpose. Consistency transforms hesitation into momentum, and momentum into mastery. In the end, consistency builds trust in yourself. Each day you show up reinforces the belief that you are capable of growth and change. This trust becomes the foundation for confidence and resilience, empowering you to face challenges with courage and determination. Remember, it's not about how perfectly you execute your plans, but how consistently you pursue them. By committing to small, steady efforts, you create a rhythm of progress that becomes unshakable over time. Consistency is the path to growth, the bridge to transformation, and the key to unlocking your true potential. 7. Turn gratitude into a transformative power. During a difficult period in my life, I felt weighed down by challenges and frustrations. It seemed as though every problem loomed larger than any solution. That's when I decided to try something simple. I started a gratitude journal. Each night, I wrote down 3 things I was thankful for, no matter how small. At first, it felt trivial, writing about a kind word from a stranger, a good meal, or even just a peaceful moment. But as days turned into weeks, something shifted. I stopped fixating on what was missing and began to notice the abundance already present in my life. That simple practice not only changed my perspective, but also helped me rebuild my confidence and resilience. Gratitude is a transformative force. The Stoics understood its power, urging us to focus on what we can control and to find contentment in the present moment. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." Gratitude isn't about ignoring life's difficulties. It's about choosing to see the good that exists alongside the challenges. When you practice gratitude, you rewire your mind to focus on abundance rather than scarcity. It's easy to dwell on what you don't have or what's going wrong, but gratitude shifts your mental energy toward what you do have and what's going right. This shift doesn't just make you feel better in the moment, it strengthens your resilience over time. Gratitude also fosters a growth mindset. When you acknowledge the positives in your life, you begin to see challenges as opportunities for growth rather than as insurmountable obstacles. Seneca once advised, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Recognizing the value in what you already possess allows you to approach life with a sense of fulfillment and clarity. Incorporating gratitude into your daily life doesn't require grand gestures. It begins with small, consistent actions, like pausing to appreciate a kind word, a sunny day, or even your own progress. You might choose to write in a journal, as I did, or simply take a moment each day to reflect on what you're grateful for. These practices, though simple, have profound effects on your mental and emotional well-being. Gratitude doesn't eliminate challenges, but it equips you to face them with a stronger, more positive mindset. It's a reminder that even in the darkest times, there is light to be found. The act of expressing gratitude is not just for the present. It builds a foundation of hope and resilience for the future. As you move through your day, ask yourself, what can I appreciate right now? By focusing on gratitude, you are feeding the strongest version of yourself, the version that sees possibility in every challenge and beauty in every moment. Over time, this practice will not only transform your perspective, but also empower you to create a life grounded in positivity and purpose. 8. Visualize the future and set a clear purpose. Transformation begins with vision. To create a life aligned with your highest potential, you must first see it in your mind. Visualization bridges the gap between your goals and actions by painting a vivid mental picture of what you aim to achieve. This clarity ignites motivation, guides your decisions, and gives purpose to your efforts. The Stoics understood the power of purpose and foresight. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." Your ambitions shape the future you strive for, but without a clear vision, even the strongest aspirations can become aimless. Visualization grounds those ambitions in reality. It transforms vague desires into defined objectives and helps you focus on the steps needed to reach them. When you visualize, you don't just imagine success. You immerse yourself in the feelings, challenges, and triumphs of your future self. Picture the goals you wish to accomplish, the career you dream of, the relationships you want to nurture, the personal growth you seek. Envision the details, the colors, the sounds, the emotions. This exercise trains your mind to recognize and seize opportunities aligned with your vision. Purpose strengthens this process. While visualization fuels motivation, purpose provides direction. Seneca advised, "To the person who does not know where they want to go, there is no favorable wind." Purpose acts as your compass, ensuring that every step you take aligns with your values and aspirations. It keeps you anchored during moments of doubt and focused amidst distractions. Combining visualization with a clear purpose creates a powerful framework for action. Purpose ensures your goals are meaningful, while visualization makes them tangible. Together, they transform the abstract into the achievable. Each action you take is no longer random, but intentional, propelling you closer to the life you envision. To make this practice effective, start by reflecting deeply on what truly matters to you. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to become? What impact do I want to leave? These questions reveal your core values and help you define your purpose. Once this purpose is clear, visualize your future self living in alignment with these principles. Imagine the habits, behaviors, and daily choices that contribute to this version of you. The beauty of this practice lies in its dual nature. Visualization is rooted in hope, while purpose is grounded in action. Together, they create a cycle of inspiration and progress. When challenges arise, visualization reminds you of what's possible, and purpose reminds you why you started. The Stoics teach us that life is a series of choices, and each choice shapes the person we become. By visualizing your future and aligning your purpose, you create a roadmap for these decisions. You gain clarity, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to your goals. As you move forward, let visualization and purpose guide you. See your future clearly and pursue it with intention. The path may not always be easy, but with a clear vision and purpose, every step becomes meaningful, and every challenge becomes an opportunity to grow. As we come to the end of this journey, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've uncovered. The path to transforming yourself isn't about chasing perfection or waiting for the right moment. It's about small, consistent choices. It's about awareness of your habits, making deliberate decisions, and taking purposeful action. The wisdom of Stoic philosophy reminds us that growth comes through challenges, not comfort. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Every obstacle, fear, or failure you face is an opportunity to build resilience and uncover your inner strength. By adjusting your environment, connecting with the right people, and practicing gratitude, you align yourself with positivity and growth. When you visualize the future you want and anchor it in a clear purpose, you create a life driven by intention rather than circumstance. Now, I encourage you to take this message and make it your own. Reflect on the choices you're making and the person you're becoming. Share your story in the comments below. What challenges are you overcoming, and how are you moving toward your strongest self? Your experiences can inspire others who are on this journey too. Transformation is not a destination, it's a process. Every step you take matters, and every moment is an opportunity to grow. The power to change is already within you, so start today. Let the strongest version of yourself lead the way.